So this is going to be my first actual view on the channel. First off, if you're new here, hi. I make pretty much whatever I want, but I've been making a ton of Atlas things recently, and I like to start diversifying my types of videos I make on YouTube.
So without further ado, let's get into Catherine Full Body.
In 2011, Atlas released a game called Catherine to the world. A sexy puzzle platformer is probably the best way to describe it. You definitely don't want your mom walking in on this. For Atlas standards at the time, it sold pretty well, and this eventually led to a PC port and then a modern remake for PS4 and PlayStation Vita. And it's a shame that the Vita port was cancelled outside of Japan, and with no Vita replacement, it stayed a PS4 exclusive until March 2020, when it was announced that Catherine Full Body would be coming to Nintendo Switch.
And at this point, this was Atlas's first Switch release, so this was a big deal. But as far as we know, the Switch port tanked, selling less than the PlayStation Vita port in 2019. Though, at this point, this was the 6th way to play Catherine in Japan, so if you wanted to play this game, you already did. But enough with the history lesson, let's just get to the review.
Tonight's story is Catherine Full Body, the second coming of an unconventional romantic horror. A man with a certain curse has a terrifying and dramatic week. Oh, does that sound familiar? Well, like I said, this is Catherine, but with a fuller body. It's aged nicely, with a sensual flavor, not unlike a fine wine. Our hero in this story is Vincent Brooks, age 32. He is an earnest and kind man.
This man cheats on his wife 30 minutes into the game, though I might be getting a bit ahead of myself here. Let's go back to the beginning.
So are you getting anything extra for this?
For what?
For all this overtime you're doing.
Not this time.
This is Catherine with a K, Vincent's wife-to-be. You learn very quickly into the game that Catherine wants to get married while Vincent just wants to stay the way that they are. You also learn a little bit later into the game that she wants to control Vincent's finances, which just kind of tells you she's a bit of a controlling person in general, while Catherine is pretty much the complete opposite of that. She thinks that people marry simply out of tradition, and being free is a lot better than being tied down in her eyes. And due to Vincent being afraid of marriage, Catherine's pretty much the perfect escape for him. But then you later find out that she's physically abusive and obsessive over him.
Look, I'm sorry. She's someone I really need to hold dear. So...
Hold dear? Wait, so does that mean you're already dating her?
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't mind.
Pause.
I had to do a double take the first time I heard that. During the day, you and your friends hang out at the bar called the Stray Sheep, and those friends would be Johnny, Orlando, and Toby. Out of the three, Toby's probably my favorite. He's definitely got the funniest moments in the game.
Of course, my heart belongs to Erica, and Erica alone.
No one asked.
Here it is.
Hey, Erica, out of the four of us, who would you rather marry?
Well, I thought Vincent would be the guy who'd take the best care of me.
Past tense?
Orlando and Johnny don't look like they'd love me.
Ding ding ding.
Which means...
You, I guess. You're cute and passionate.
What, for reals?
Yeah, congrats.
Hey, you guys jealous?
No.
But at night, Vincent is thrown into these hellish block puzzles where the only goal is to survive. Before, during, and after your climb, you'll see other sheep following you, trying to knock you down, giving you tips, and selling you items. It's almost always optional, but it gives the sheep a little more character, even if you don't know what they look like. And the interesting thing is, you can meet other bargoers within the nightmares. After your climb, you walk into this rocket elevator thing, and inside a mysterious voice asks you a question, and you have to answer it. And this answer will affect your morality meter, and the morality meter affects which ending you'll get. Getting back to the puzzles themselves, they're actually quite fun and challenging. There were some puzzles later into the game that genuinely stumped me. If you like a difficult challenge, this will definitely give it to you. And the puzzles themselves are made out of many different kinds of blocks, and those block types include all all of these. The only real problem I have with these stages is the controls. And this isn't to say that the controls are necessarily bad, it just felt like I was fighting them more often than I should have. Also, in certain instances, the camera will have a panic attack just trying to find out where you are on the stage. This happens mainly when you're behind the stage, but this doesn't happen often enough to where it actually impedes your gameplay. This is a game that's also heavily reliant on input, so you're definitely going to want a TV that has a low input response time and a good controller. I've been playing this with a Nintendo Switch Pro controller and it's fine. My main problem is that the D-pad isn't exactly the best for this type of game, and it's not really a good D-pad in general. If you have both a PS4 and Switch and don't really care about the portability aspect, get it on PS4 for the better D-pad. Speaking of PS4 and Switch, let's get into the differences between each system. As of right now, the only systems that have Catherine full body are PS4 and Nintendo Switch, though with Sega's initiative to start making more ports, this could change. I'm going to be citing VG Tech for this, as they're the only one on YouTube with a frame rate counter for both games side by side, and it gives us a good graphics comparison as well. The main difference is that the Switch is lacking in anti-aliasing, it has worse texture filtering, and also has slightly lower resolution shadows compared to PS4. Both are a locked 1080p and aim for 30 FPS, and while the Switch doesn't really keep 30 FPS as often as PS4, it's still consistent enough to where it's still a good experience. It's a little bit worse than the Nightmare stages, but again, it's not bad enough to where it'll actually impede your gameplay. And for reference, portable mode is pretty much the exact same other than it being 720p. The frame rate can still kind of falter, but that's pretty much it. You guys probably noticed by now, but I haven't talked about any new additions with Catherine full body. And there's unfortunately a good reason for that. With Atlus re-releases, they generally like to add some sort of character, whether it be a main character or a side character, they always add some sort of character. And Rin is no exception, and Rin is also easily the worst. Not only is she poorly weaved into the story, her story arc is also pretty bad. And by bad, I just mean strange. Like, what is this? What is this? The only good thing about Rin being added to the game is that any cutscene that involves her actually looks really good. Sega's mocap team did a pretty good job on this one, I'd say. But that's it. Literally, that's the only thing that they did right with Rin, in my opinion. And the weird thing is, if you choose the Rin route, Catherine with C straight up just disappears. Like, she just leaves. She's mentioned once by Rin, but that's literally it. And Rin's story is pretty normal up until the murder scene with Catherine. So, Rin can just summon portals? Yeah, okay, sure. And apparently he's an angel and has an angel brother. This entire Rin path is easily the most nonsensical thing Atlus has put out in quite a while. Oh, but don't worry, there is more. If you choose the Rin route, you get to play 4 more levels, and these levels stink. To say that these are the most unfair levels in the game is an understatement. If I weren't reviewing the game, I honestly wouldn't have even done the Rin path in the first place. It's such a departure from the other 2 storylines that it honestly could have been its own game or something. If you choose Catherine with a K, you end up getting back with her, and if you choose Catherine with a C, you can end up the king of the underworld. Now that's pretty cool. And if you thought Rin's path was bad, her integration into the other paths is debatably even worse. He's pretty frequent in the beginning of the game, but once you choose which set path you're going to take, he disappears entirely. And to mitigate this issue, you can always just play Catherine Classic, which is on 360, PS3, and PC. Though in my opinion, there should have been an option to remove Rin from the story entirely so you could get the classic experience with the upgraded visuals. Just my opinion though. But let's get into the other modes Catherine Full Body has to offer. Babel is similar to the story mode where you're still pushing blocks around, but instead of getting to the end of the stage, you're climbing as far as you can. Coliseum is a mode where you fight another opponent by either pushing them off the stage, beating them with items, or anything in between. It's actually pretty fun. Both Babel and Coliseum are online. The funny thing about this is that you can pull the block out from under your opponent, making them fall off the stage, and that's easily my favorite part. And because this is a modern Atlus title, it has Joker from Persona 5. Love him or hate him, he's here. Now, although I might have seemed a bit negative in this review, I actually really like this game. The character and art design is really unique and you're not really going to find it anywhere else. The voice acting is also really top notch, at least in English. I haven't heard it in Japanese, but I imagine it's pretty good there too. And the interesting thing is, a lot of the voice cast from this game actually went on to be the voice cast of Persona 5. And as I said earlier, the new cutscenes look great. 2D or 3D doesn't matter, they all look great. But at the end of the day, the content itself matters most, and the content within the game is kind of lacking. To be fair, there is a lot of it, but the content itself is lacking. And speaking of content, let's get to the DLC. On PS4, you have to pay for all the DLC, But on Nintendo Switch, all the DLC actually comes with the game. So technically, if you want to go by content, Catherine Fullbody on the Nintendo Switch is the definitive version. The playable character set is the characters in Babel or Coliseum. If you don't pay for it, you have to play as the sheep. The Catherine Ideal voice set replaces Catherine's Japanese voice with other voices from Japanese actresses. The Persona 5 Joker character and commentary set is the same thing as the playable character set, except it also adds Persona 5 Joker. Very exciting, I know. And bonus content, horned rim glasses, it changes everyone to be in their underwear. So, you know, it might be worth the $25 they're asking for all this.
I want to thank you all for bearing with me as I make this video, as I've had some unforeseen circumstances, let's just say. But my computer is fixed now, as fixed as it's gonna get. So I can make videos, yay. My next review, I don't know what my next review is gonna be, but maybe suggest something in the comments and I might consider it, I don't know. Yeah, I honestly have no idea as of what my next video is gonna be, like literally no idea. This is probably the worst outro I could have done for this video. Yeah, bye.